Here's a.
Everybody, thanks for coming. We're gonna, today, oh, you did it. We're gonna hear from, Commissioner Hammond's gonna open it, and then we're going to hear from our county manager and our sheriff today. Let's go.
Mic check, while everybody's walking in. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Everybody good with your levels? Looks like everybody's here. Okay, we'll begin. Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Hammond, and I'm a Lee County Commissioner. I'm joined this morning by Commissioner Kevin Ruane and Commissioner Mike Greenwell, also by our Sheriff, Carmine Marcino, and Dr. Christopher Neer from Lee County School District, our Superintendent, as well as Angela Smith, our Health Officer. This morning, we have been watching the storm overnight. Our team is mobilized in the Emergency Operations Center, as you can see behind you. But given the current forecast track this morning and the storm surge predictions, as well as the flood modeling, we're here this morning to announce evacuation orders for some parts of the county, as well as shelter openings for some parts of the county. To explain the operations and how that's going to happen, I'd like to introduce our county manager, Roger DeJarlais.
Good morning, everyone. The evacuation this morning is a mandatory evacuation order, and that is as mandatory as can be. We will not be going house to house. Enforcement is a mandatory event. The importance of people getting out of harm's way based on these surge models. So evacuation will be Zone A. You can look at our website and see exactly where that is, but it is generally all of the low-lying areas that are accustomed to being flooded during the spring tides. And so it's along the coastal area, the barrier islands, and upriver four ways. But you'll be able to see that on our website. And then part of Zone B as well will be evacuated. Parts of that zone are really in those low-lying areas as well, and that's south of Veterans Parkway and Cape Coral is in that Zone B area. Also, the evacuation order instructs people in mobile and manufactured homes to shelter elsewhere. When winds above 45, 50, 60 miles an hour, mobile homes are generally not a safe place to be. For those in the evacuation zones, please do not put out your garbage today because it's not going to get picked up and it's just going to get blown all over. There will be 10 emergency shelters opening at about 9 o'clock this morning. We're staffing up as we speak, and you can find a list of all those shelters on Lee County's website, that is leegov.com. United Way Partners are prepared to open the emergency information hotline when the shelters open at 9 o'clock. And you all will recall that that's the 211 line. Anyone who needs help in understanding their evacuation zone or what they need to do to finish preparations. 211 is the right number to call. Please do not call 911 unless you have a true emergency. Let me see, a list of those on our website is all, let me see, excuse me. This is zero dark theory this morning, and I'm usually not coherent this time of day. Oh, all of our shelters are pet friendly. You may recall there was a time when we had just a couple of designated shelters, but people are really not prepared to leave their dogs and cats at home. They're like a member of the family. And we also encourage it. These shelters are a refuge of last resort. They are not comfortable, so we would encourage people as their first choice to see if they have relatives or friends outside of the area that's going to be affected by the storm. And you need to know that the EOC now is going from partial activation to full activation. And we will continue to monitor the storms throughout the day and provide you the information on any of the changing operations as they occur. I'd like to introduce Sheriff Marcino.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for being here today. Just want to get a point across that we are going to feel this storm. How badly is still undetermined. My top priority, as always, is keeping everybody safe during this event. We look at it in three ways. It's before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. And before the storm, we try to get that message out to get your non-perishables, secure your homes, and make sure that you're ready for several days without electric if need be. During the storm is most important. We want you to be at your location. We want you to be safe and also understand, and we stress the fact that once the winds hit a sustained 45 miles per hour, law enforcement, emergency personnel are not going to respond. So God forbid someone does need 911 and they dial, a law enforcement officer is not going to respond until it's safe to. I will ensure absolutely the second it's safe, we will begin answering calls immediately without hesitation in priority. Also, don't leave your homes unless you have to. Sometimes things look like they're safe. Down power lines, the bridges are, another one. I mean, we're going to let those bridges naturally flow, and we're going to continuously monitor them by patrol and also by the latest and greatest technology at the Real-Time Intelligence Center. But we want you to stay off the roadways. Let's get this storm or whatever it brings us past us to ensure that you get out there and you're safe when you do. County's done a great job with our shelters. We will be manning the shelters to make sure people are safe. And again, we will get through this. The great residents of this county and the state of Florida, we're no stranger to these storms, but we ask that you work with us and help us make certain that you're safe. Thanks for being here today.
We'll take questions if you have them.
How much space do we have at these shelters, and what should they not bring?
Sandra?
Yeah, we feel confident that we're able to adequately support the number of people in the evacuated areas that we feel will be seeking the shelters. And people who are going to be coming to the shelters, we do ask that you bring any essential supplies, medications. If you're bringing pets, please bring food, a cage for your animals, leashes. We don't have cots at shelters, so please bring something to sleep on, a pillow, and some entertainment, books, because if you do, power goes out, then you can't charge your devices. So just bring anything that you feel that would make you comfortable. Keep in mind that there could be crowding at the shelter, so try not to bring too much stuff. When you enter, you'll get a small area in the shelter to reside in during that time.
Before Irma, I believe you issued an order 2 days before impact. We expect impact tomorrow. Did you kind of consider issuing this order before? What stopped you and what kind of changed your mind?
We did consider calling for evacuation yesterday, but given the uncertainty of the path, the timing just wasn't right. And so the current path with the anticipated impacts of the storm meets all the criteria that we use for calling for evacuation. And the areas being evacuated are small compared to the evacuation during Irma. You may recall that Irma covered the entire state with hurricane force winds. This storm is much smaller. We don't expect nearly the same kinds of wind velocities that we saw during Irma. So calling for evacuation today is a perfectly reasonable decision. Stacy?
Roger, a lot of new people to Lake County and to Florida. What message do you have for those folks that are new to our state and our county?
People who have moved to Lee County in the last several years after Hurricane Irma, which of course, was the last storm, is they should stay tuned to the local television stations and news outlets for all of their information, and we will continue to provide storm information to the TV stations and others, so that people will then they'll know exactly how to react, whether it's evacuation or picking up all of the furniture in their yard and debris so that it doesn't blow and damage neighbors' homes. So it's a lot of common sense. But if you're in the evacuation zone, go ahead and leave. Take your time. Go ahead and leave now. But otherwise, pay attention to the TV stations.
Kevin, what advice do you have for people in Fort Myers Beach or Sanibel that decide not to go?
Well, I think people on the barrier islands who decide not to go, they do so at their own peril. The best thing they can do is leave. With the kind of tidal surge we're talking about, it would not be uncommon for both islands to be overwashed, and it's a dangerous place to be. We cannot, by law, force people off the islands, but we strongly recommend that they go.
As far as trash in yard waste goes, are you advising residents to still put that up today? Are you still picking those items up so that they're not, flying around in case of strong winds?
If you're in the evacuation zone A and partial B partial evacuation zone and B, that you not put your trash out. Everyone else, go ahead, put their trash out. We'll be picking up today based on the regular schedule, and then we'll see how the storm progresses, and we can announce later today or tomorrow about future trash pickup days. Yes, ma'am.
We still have residents asking about sandbags. Do you know the status of that today?
We did have the sand locations out yesterday. Many of them were depleted. So there may still be some sand drop locations that are available. You can contact your fire district if you're still looking for some sand.
How many people do you expect to leave, and how many people kind of live in these zones?
So there are about 250,000 people who live in the evacuation zones that we've outlined, and we would anticipate about 10%, based on history, 10% leave.
Is there a place you advise people to kind of go? A certain area that you think would be, a better place to evacuate?
Simple enough to pay attention to the forecast track of the storm as it progresses. And first, if people are going to leave, find a relative or friend outside the evacuation area, outside the effects of the storm as first choice. And the second choice, go to one of the 10 shelters. And as a last resort, stay at home. It's depending on where you live. Sheltering at home is not a bad option, but people will have to make their own decision.
Lastly, can you just briefly go over Zone A and Zone B, which areas make the locations?
Yeah, and we'll be posting a map. It'll be important to direct residents to the map because then they can see where they live pinpointed to that map. But essentially, Zone A is all the barrier islands and all the coastal areas and leading up to the borders next to the river, the Caloosahatchee River. And there'll be some areas down in the Bonita area closer to the Imperial River. So again, important for everyone to look at that map. And then, as was stated earlier, Zone B, the only Zone B that is called for is south of Veterans in Cape Coral.
Good?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, you don't want to stick around, so I've got to give you this plan.
Just one more. What are you guys hearing specifically about the storm surge? How bad are you guys hearing it's going to be?
Storm surge, it's published, by the National Weather Service, the storm surge, and we're expecting to be between 4 to 7 feet. But, if you've lived here any length of time at all, you know that there are a lot of variables in how that storm surge is going to affect of these low-lying areas. Some areas lower than others. If the storm surge comes in on an incoming tide, people will see a little more water than they would if it were on an outgoing tide. So again, hope that people will pay attention to all of the information that you're going to impart to them throughout the day, and we will keep you up to date as well.
All right, thank you all.
Y'all good? So, cameras off and stuff? I don't want to be recorded, I'm just giving you all the information. Okay, so the person in green who spoke, her last name is really hard to spell and say. So I have it right here. I don't know if you want to take a picture of my cell phone, I can text you all, but it's Sandra Tapunde. She's Public Safety Emergency Management Director. We tried to spell it phonetically for you.